Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Introduction to Web Development. Now, in this episode, we are going to be going over the basic HTML elements, such as like paragraphs and headings, which I'll talk about later. And essentially, HTML, as I said in the previous video, is kind of like the backbone of web development in general. Because HTML is the language where you say, I want text that says this, I want links that say this and go here, I want an image that shows this, and I want like a button that has this text. And then the other two languages, CSS and JavaScript, are in charge of like saying, okay, I want it here and I want to make it look like this, be this color, be this big. But HTML kind of just says that there is text on this website that says this, and then the other languages kind of take care of the rest. So we're going to be learning that basic HTML first. So we're going to start off with kind of, we're going to start off by talking a little bit what like HTML tags are. Now, I touched on this a little bit in the previous video. Essentially, in HTML, I'm going to go ahead and open up our code from the last episode, which don't forget, you can always open up this code by clicking the link that says all the code in my videos in the description, and that'll take you to a website where you can see this. So like I said in the previous video, a tag is anything in between those like angle brackets here. So the angle brackets right here are the less than and the greater than symbols, and then the tag is this whole thing. Now this thing is called an H1 tag, and the reason why is the name of the tag H1 is what's inside of the these angle brackets. That's the actual name of the tag. Now that's one component basically. Tags have three main components, which are again the name of the tag goes in between these two angle brackets, and then the angle brackets themselves are a component of tags. There's always an opening one, which is just regular angle brackets surrounding a word, and then the closing one, which has a slash before the word itself. So H1 opens the H1 tag, and then slash H1 closes the H1 tag, and then everything contained inside is the whole tag itself. Now everything inside the two tags right here is called the inner content of the tag, and sometimes you can actually nest tags like this. If you'll notice, this is a body tag, and then there are other tags inside the body tag. And you can see that because we've indented one layer up in our code. In addition, you can also have regular plain old text and stuff like that inside. For example, this H1 tag has the words hello world inside. And I'm going to go ahead and click this go live button in the bottom right and start up our live server. And remember, that caused us to have this text hello world right here on the website. And then we used CSS to actually give it this underline in the last episode, and then we also printed. But I'm going to go ahead and remove the CSS root for now. So I'm going to remove this whole style tag, and we will add this back in a future, or actually in a couple videos from now. And if I save this, you'll notice the underline goes away, and then I'm just going to delete the script tag as well, so we can focus on the HTML. Now again, this H1 right here, this bare H1, is what creates this text here. It just says, I want some text that says hello world, and it's just simple black and white text. You can't even customize the font unless you use CSS. So this is like what you get. Now, this H1 is called a heading 1 tag, and a heading is basically like a title. A heading 1 is the largest version of these tags. In addition, you have a heading 2, my name, and if I save this, you'll notice it's slightly smaller. And then we have a heading 3. And also notice if you are using VS Code, you can just type H3 and hit enter, and it'll kind of create the whole tag for you. And then you can say is. And then also, if you are not on VS Code for whatever reason and you're using a different editor, you can manually type this out. Open, H4, close, and then usually it'll create the corresponding tag for you, Matthew. And actually, as you'll notice here, the words keep on getting smaller, and there are up to 6 heading tags. This text is, and then finally H6, getting smaller. If I save this, notice that. And then finally, there is no such thing as an H7. As you can see, there's no autocomplete. If I type in H7 small and I save, it looks regular text. And it looks like regular text. And for example, if I typed in small without any tag, it's literally the same thing. And also, you generally don't want to do this when you're writing code. Don't put like random text that's not in a tag. Just a good practice, unless you know what you're doing. So now these are the 7 basic heading tags, or the 6 basic heading tags, my bad. And basically, in addition, there are other tags called paragraph tags. And that's just a P, otherwise called a P tag. And then you say this, or the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And then if we save that, paragraph tag is basically like the main amount of text that goes on a website. If you're on a blog, all of that text pretty much is just paragraph. That's just standard text. While headings generally means some sort of title, even though like H6 is smaller. In fact, H5 and H6 are both smaller than paragraphs. These generally still mean like something symbolic, while paragraph just means regular old text on a website. So you'll also notice like we use tags semantically, and in a future video, I'm actually going to be getting into semantic tags, like tags that literally do nothing except explain what they hold. For example, like, why would I use an H5 or an H6 over a P? Well, it's because that text is important for some whatever reason. It means some sort of heading, some sort of like title. That's why you would use an H5 and H6. So another programmer looking at this code will kind of know like this text is special. So let's go ahead and take a look. We got through these. Whoops. Got through that, and then we kind of went through those two. So there's only one kind of like topic left for this video that I was planning, and that is a div tag. Now, we're going to get more into this in the next video, but there is another tag called a div tag, and what this means is kind of like a divider. And a div tag is not really a semantic tag, meaning it's not a tag that does absolutely nothing, but it is a container, kind of. So for example, if I type in a P here and type in hello versus, like for example, how about we just copy this text here and paste it here. So you'll notice there's just a standard P tag, and then there's a P tag inside a div tag. These both look the same. The reason why you use div tags is for what's called like targeting of some sort. If you want to target it with JavaScript or CSS, this div tag is kind of usually like used as a helpful window for bridging HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For example, let's say I want a section of my website to have a blue background. Now, how do I tell my program like I want this section of my program or my website to have a blue background? Well, again, like I said, div is kind of like a divider or like a section in a way, and it kind of just designates a certain part of the website. So everything inside this div tag can now be targeted by CSS, and we can say, hey, everything inside this div, let's give it a blue background, or let's make it this big, or let's position it here. And we're going to get like more into that in the next video when I talk about selective styling, which is basically what I was just talking about, changing the color or changing the position or changing the sizing of a certain section of the website. And that is often what you use the div tag for. So now those were the basic elements in HTML and CSS. In the next video, we are going to be talking about selective styling, and that'll also mean we're going to be getting into CSS, kind of like getting more into that language where we use it to style, be it like give it underlines, strike-throughs, change the color, change the position. CSS is like used for everything that makes a website look good, for example. Because right now, as you can see, we literally have black text on a white background. And with CSS, we can actually also change the background of the entire site itself. So if you happen to miss any of the previous videos, or actually the only previous video in this playlist, or if you want to see future uploads, go ahead and check out the playlist linked in the description where I'll be uploading daily to this series. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications whenever I post new videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.